Are you moving or relocating to Columbus, Ohio and looking for that perfect area to live? You might be over the loud, cramped quarters of living in a metro area, but not quite ready to give it all up and move out to the suburbs. Well, in this video, I'm going to cover the two suburbs here in Columbus, which I like to call Suburbs Light. They are perfect for people trying to transition out of high-density downtown living without going full minivan mode. And it all starts right now. So, let's go! Hey, welcome back to the Columbus, Ohio Living Channel. My name is Mark Van Stein and I make videos about real estate and living in Columbus, Ohio. I talk about the best areas, neighborhoods, school districts, suburbs, and what it's like to live here in the capital city. If you're thinking about moving or relocating to Columbus, make your life a little easier and let me and my team help. I'm a full-time RE/MAX realtor. I've been helping people relocate to Columbus for over the last 18 years now. I'm actually a third-generation real estate agent. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, however you want to reach out. My team and I are here to help. I have a lot of history with the two neighborhoods I'm going to break down today. The first is where I bought my first home and lived for about 10 years when I moved back to Columbus. The second is where I wanted to buy my first house but couldn't afford at the time. Both are wonderful communities and have a lot of similarities. It's where many of my clients start and sometimes finish what I like to refer to as their life's journeys. So let's break down these two awesome neighborhoods. The first neighborhood is Clintonville. Clintonville is a pretty vast neighborhood starting in the south around Hudson Street and progressing up north around Morris Road, with boundaries on the west by 315 and on the east by I-71. Like I mentioned earlier, Clintonville is where I bought my first home and lived for about 10 years. I have lots of clients who start off their home buying journey in Clintonville. Again, the reason being is, like the title of this video, it's a good transition out of apartment living or condo living and maybe a precursor to living that suburban dream or your suburban nightmare, whatever your perception might be. Clintonville is also an area where a lot of Ohio State professors and grad students end up. The south end of the neighborhood is pretty close to the north side of the university, like maybe 7 to 10 minutes or so. So you have lots of faculty that end up in the area. Also grad students and even some undergrad students who are sick of living on campus but want to stay close to the school end up in Clintonville. Every year it seems like I end up selling a home or two to parents whose kids are attending the university. It's very difficult to buy any type of investment properties in the campus area because they get gobbled up so quickly by local large investors. But it is pretty easy to find doubles or even small single-family homes in Clintonville. The other nice thing is that COTA, which is our mass transit bus system, is constantly going up and down High Street from Clintonville to the university area. The northwest tip of Clintonville is called Beechwold. This was one of the first areas developed in the neighborhood and actually used to be the summer homes for the wealthy who used to live in the downtown area. They would take what is now High Street out to their country homes every summer from areas like Bexley and the Broad Street areas. It's funny to me to think that Clintonville was actually out in the country at one point. Anyhow, this small section of Clintonville, the homes are going to be a little bit more grand and have a different architectural look to them than a lot of the other areas of Clintonville. The last thing I love about Clintonville is Whetstone Park. Whetstone is one of Columbus's metro parks and one of my favorites. It really anchors the community together. They have great walking trails, tennis courts, picnic areas, and ball fields. Whetstone is also known as the Columbus Park of Roses. There's this beautiful rose garden with dozens of different varieties. That's obviously a popular place during wedding season. If you're into biking, the park is one of the best places to jump on the bike paths that run up the river along 315. You can actually ride all the way up north to Worthington and then go even further north into Delaware County if you wanted to. Well, when you get down around the park, the housing gets pretty pricey. The proximity to the park makes it a really desirable location and people are going to pay for it. Some of the homes actually will hit the 7-figure range. Clintonville is just a fantastic area. That's why I stayed there for 10 years. The trade-off that is there isn't any type of new construction. So if you don't mind living in a little bit of an older home, something with some character, you're going to love Clintonville. Are you finding the video helpful? If so, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. If you have any questions about Clintonville or Columbus in general, drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. Next is Grandview, or Grandview Heights. Grandview is located south of Upper Arlington, west of the Short North, flanked by Riverside Drive on the west and Route 315 on the east. Why do people love living in Grandview? Well, first, it's its location. You are just a few minutes from both downtown Columbus and the Short North, which is our entertainment district. In fact, you can see downtown Columbus from a few of the streets in Grandview. Now, I don't know how many people actually have to commute into downtown Columbus these days for work, but it would be super easy drive, or you could even ride a bike or a scooter if the weather was nice. The other communities that surround the downtown metro area are in the Columbus school districts, which aren't very highly ranked by the State Board of Ohio Education. Part of Grandview, however, has their own school district, which is very highly ranked. Now, it's not a very big district with only about 1,100 students, but it does make the top 5 best ranked districts in Central Ohio. Another attraction of Grandview is its walkability. I get so many people relocating here ask me about walkable neighborhoods, and in Columbus, we just don't have that many. The homes in Grandview were built back in the 20s and 30s for the most part, so you don't have these huge, enormous lots. Everything's a little bit more close together. There are a couple of streets in Grandview that act as a commercial corridor, so if you wanted to walk down to a cafe and grab a cup of coffee or a drink after work, it's very doable depending on where you live in the neighborhood. There are also tons of great restaurants in Grandview. And even if you can't find something in Grandview that kind of fits your taste, like I said, the Short North is just a few minutes away and they have a ton of great restaurants there as well. Grandview is one of those neighborhoods where I take my relocation clients when they first arrive to Columbus when they're out on their tour. And they're always like, I want to live here, this looks awesome. Then they see what their dollar can buy in the neighborhood. Grandview is expensive. It's some of the most expensive real estate in Columbus. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I actually wanted to live in Grandview when I bought my first home. I just moved back from New York City, was sick of living in that downtown metros type living, but wasn't quite ready to move out to the suburbs. So I started looking in Grandview. It was a little bit humbling. I mean, I'm looking at these homes in my price range, and granted, this was 20 plus years ago, and I was just like, no way, I do not want to take on a project this big. So I ended up in Clintonville, which at the time was much more affordable. The big knock people see on Grandview is they see what their dollar can buy in Grandview, and then they see what their dollar can buy in other parts of Columbus, and it just doesn't make any sense to them. You have a couple of different neighborhoods within the suburb. Marble Cliff is on the west and southwest side of the neighborhood and has all the very large, more grand style homes. These get very expensive if and when they come on the market, which really isn't that often. As you move east, the homes are going to get a little bit smaller and more close together. The style and type of homes are almost exactly as they are in Clintonville, and that's why I ended up in Clintonville. Now, there is new construction in Grandview, but of course, like everything else, it is expensive. Grandview Yard is a newer development on the southeast end of the suburb. It used to be an old factory, and about 10 years ago, they cleaned it up and started building a mix of condos, townhomes, and single-family homes, all mixed in with commercial. I've had a couple clients buy in the area and they absolutely love it. It's the ability to be in the neighborhood, also in the Grandview School District, and live in new construction. Now, it's not cheap and the prices have really skyrocketed the last 3 years as they're moving into like the last phases. But if you don't mind the cost and you want newer and want to be in Grandview, it's going to be a good option. Overall, Grandview is just a fantastic community, but you have to realize that with all that fantastic community comes at a very high cost. Well, those are the two neighborhoods I like to call suburb light. Did you learn anything about Clintonville or Grandview? I hope so. If you did, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. If you have any questions about Clintonville or Grandview, just drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. And remember, if you are moving or relocating to Columbus, you don't have to go through the hassle alone. Let me and my experienced team help. You can call me, text me, email me. My contact information is down below and at the end of the video. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos on what it's like living in Columbus, Ohio. Until next time.